Up everyone, it is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace. Today we're gonna go over my makeup collab collection. So basically I bought some of my favorite collabs from YouTubers or brands collabing with certain IPs that I like, and I figured we can sit down and talk about them. So I hope you brought a snack, because girl, this is about to be long. Because you gotta think I've been on YouTube for almost 5 years, so it's lots of palettes over here for us to talk about. But some of the things I'm just going to group in together to save us some time. So what I have is my affordable collabs. Then I have my luxury collabs, luxury high-end. Then I have my indie collabs. And then we're going to end off with my honorable mentions. And they honorable mentions for a reason. Either one way or another, I wasn't feeling something about them or loving them overall to the point where they got to be in the, you know, main collection. So let's get started with an oldie but goodie. I know y'all remember the BH Cosmetics and It's My Ray Ray palette, the first one, because she came out with a second one, and then she came out with some lip products too. I don't think I bought the lip products, but I did buy this palette and I bought the second palette. But I gave the second palette away to my cousins, so that's why I don't have it to show you. And since I have two cousins, I had two palettes. Worked out perfectly. But they only got one of this because they wasn't getting this one. Like, this one is well loved. I don't know if you can see the setting powder and the eyeshadows from when I took it on vacation. My mirror is dirty and disgusting. Like, yes, we love It's My Ray Ray here, and I loved this palette. So the color story isn't necessarily my love. I was mainly, y'all know, into these tones right here, and then it was a nice little black for me to use. I didn't really care about too much of the neutrals or what have you, but when you go on vacation, sometimes you're just in a rush to do a look, so it was good to have the neutrals because I knew they'd blend out easily. It would look nice on the skin and I could hook it up. And then we have the bronzers. What I loved about her palette, of course, is because it had this deeper bronzer in it, and I feel like there's not a lot of deep bronzers out here, or there weren't a lot of deep bronzers out here back in the day when she came out with this palette, so that's what made it revolutionary. Then she had her cute little highlighters in here. Of course, I used the one called Radiance that she named after her the most because that was the one that matched my skin tone the best. But I did like Moonlight, and I thought this was just a great little palette. This was my vacation palette for a good little while when I first started makeup, just because I was like, it has everything in it. Now I don't have to pack all this stuff. So next, I have this Beauty Babe trio of the Disney Color Collection. So it had one of my favorite movies in there, Alice in Wonderland, but I'm gonna start off with the Dumbo one because I'm going according to the way they were in the packaging. So this is the Dumbo palette. This is what it looks like on the inside. I wasn't crazy about this one, but I didn't think it was ugly. I've made looks with all three of these. I posted them on Instagram, but I think all the looks looked nice. Random side note, Dumbo was actually my dad's favorite Disney movie. My favorite Disney movie was Alice in Wonderland. Of course, I would like the weird movie, right? So this is the palette for the Cheshire Cat. And I loved the colors for this one. I thought, I was just like, yes. Now, obviously, we know I'm not going to use the white shade. I'm assuming the white shade is supposed to be for his teeth. And then the other colors are supposed to be for the cat himself. So I loved the color story of this one, though. Like, if they had made this a shimmery shade instead of all matte, I'd have been perfect, because I could have used that as my inner corner shade. And then I could have made a cool, like, look, or if they gave like an iridescent shade instead, I think that'd have been awesome. Last one in here is the Jungle Book. Here's what it looks like. Again, this is a cool little grungy 6-pan palette for someone who would be into these shades. Y'all know I'm into these shades, so I was happy to have it and made it an okay look. I mean, it was a little harder to make it look because they were all mid-tone shades, and then like the deeper shade, I feel like there weren't enough of them in my personal opinion, but you know, to each his own. Next, I have the Sailor Moon one. Now, with this one, I feel like I'm cheating by showing it because, as you all know, if you watch my recreation palettes of videos, or my remaking my dream color story score palette, then you know I use the Aura and Out palette to replace the shades in here that were really ashy and didn't work for my skin tone, and I didn't necessarily like the colors of. So some of these shades don't even belong in this palette, but I used to love watching Sailor Moon. I was a Sailor Moon fan, so I felt like I wanted to include this in here, even though it didn't look the way it was originally made to look. I still liked the palette. The formula wasn't that great on it, but again, when the colors don't work on you that well, that could just be my thing. So I have my Perception palette from Makeup Shayla and ColourPop. Y'all know this was my palette for years. I've owned like 3 of these. That's how much I liked it. I had got one for myself, and then one leave here in my grandmother's house, and then my cousin took the one I left here in my grandmother's house. Then I had to get another one. So I finally only have one. I think I gave the other one away to my cousins because I didn't need all 3 of them. So I finally just have this one, and I haven't used this in ages, but I just loved the color story of this. Like, I was like, I used to say if I had to make a collab palette, it would be something like this. I mean, of course, we know I wouldn't use warm tones. I'd use cool tones instead, but I would have kept like this side of the palette the way it is. But knowing me, it'd probably just been a green, blue, and purple palette like Michaela, because, you know, that's my color aesthetic. If you haven't noticed, I do a lot of blue, green, and purple looks. I got on a blue and purple look right now, so, I mean, you know what time it is here, but that's like one of my all-time favorite ColourPop collabs. And the fact that they collabed with a woman of color for a palette was nice, because when they originally collabed, they did it with Ellery and they only did lips because they only had lips then. So I like the fact when they branched out and finally did a palette with her. I didn't buy the second palette because it was literally just like a warm tone quad and I wasn't feeling that, because we know that's not me. But I do have the original, and that was one of my all-time favorite ColourPop collabs. The next one is Through My Eyes from I Love Sarai. And if y'all remember, she had, pay no attention to my shade that got dug into, but she had like the little 4-pan palettes or 5-pan palettes when they first came out that they had in those giant foamy filled components. And then when they not reformulated, but when they, you know, rearranged and got into this more palette style form, they went ahead and made a palette with her. I loved the color stuff. Her palette had like pops of green, and it was like a cute little warm tone moment. Then I have a little smoky tone section right there. So I loved this palette. I didn't reach for it as much as I reached for Makeup Shameless, but I did like it enough to put it in this video. So I'm just showing y'all all the affordable ones, which is basically mainly ColourPop, because y'all know ColourPop is always doing a whole bunch of IP collabs. Next, I have the Powerpuff Girls. Now, I am disappointed because these aren't my Powerpuff Girls from back in the day. These are the modernized Powerpuff Girls from my son's day, but you know, I still love the Powerpuff Girls. Again, I don't know if this is cheating or not, because I took these 2 shades out of the Dallas Maverick palette and put them in here. That's the reason I bought the Dallas Maverick palette, so that way I could have blue and purpley blue shifting shades to put with the blue matte, because I didn't like the fact that they gave a pressed glitter and then another light shade. I feel like there's too many of these light shades and not enough to go with the blue, in my personal opinion, because I'm not a person who wants to do blue and brown. So I changed mine around, but I still love the idea of this and still love the collab and the execution of it, because overall it was fine. And I feel like they've used the pressed glitter for the right one. If anybody's gonna use the pressed glitter, I definitely feel like Bubbles would use it. So in that regard, it was fine, and it was true to characters, I guess, along that part. But I just didn't want the pressed glitter, so I made sure I didn't get to stay in my palette. Next, I have the Malibu Barbie and ColourPop. Now, I was a kid who played with Barbie. Like, the brats weren't on the scene until I was like too old to be playing with dolls. So Barbie is nostalgic for me, and I'm sure a lot of other women too. But this is what the palette looks like on the inside. To me, this is just a more affordable version of the Strawberry Dreams palette from Manny MUA without the berry tones. They put browns and oranges in there instead. But if you took the orange and the brown out and replaced it with those berry tones he has, I feel like it would be about the same. He has a yellow shimmer, so if this was a yellow shimmer and these were those berry tones, I feel like this could be the same palette. The formula is really good. I have done a battle of both of these if anyone's curious. They tend to do a pretty good job with their formulas when it comes to their expensive stuff. So not expensive, their collab, so I wasn't surprised with the formula and it was good. Next, we have the Misunderstood, the Villains collab. Again, I changed this one around because to me it was kind of shimmer heavy and I wanted a few more mattes, so I did put in a few more mattes, not a whole lot. I think I took out some shades from the Mar palette, and then I think it was the Mar palette and that was it. But as you can see, it has more mattes in it. No, I'm sorry, this shade came from, I believe, Meant to Be, and I think this blue came from the Mar palette. And that might be it. I feel like I put one more shade in here. I just don't remember what it is, but this has like, this shade is a dual chrome, and it's a really nice palette. I just don't reach for it that often because I have other palettes, but I do love the way I recreated it, and I think it looks super cool. And I love the packaging of it and the whole theme of it. Since they did all the princesses for like 40 times over, I was glad to see that they did the villains. I wish they would do the villains again, because I think that would be cool, since they just came out with princess lipsticks again. So I don't know how long they have to do this Disney thing, but they just came out with lipsticks like on Instagram today. Next, I have the Disney and Hocus Pocus. This is what it looks like on the inside. I changed mine around as well. This shade came from Meant to Be. Sorry, not Meant to Be. Just My Luck. And let's see. I forgot where this pink shade came from. I feel like it came from Garden Variety. Don't quote me. And then I think I took one more shade out of here. Put one more shade in here. I think I might have put this like purpley shade in here because I feel like it was something else here. But I love the way I did the color story over. I like it a whole lot better. I don't necessarily feel like I need this pink, but I didn't have any other shades to put in there at the time, and then after a while I just forgot I was there, because this isn't a palette I reach for that often, because when I want those types of tones, I don't know, like I usually just reach for a different palette. But I've told y'all before in my makeup I buy and never use that. A lot of times I don't use a lot of my ColourPop palettes after I do a review. It's very few of them that I still reach for. Next, I have the Star Wars eyeshadow palette that just came out recently. I thought they did a beautiful job with this, because you got your warm tones, and you got your cool tones, and this nice mixture of tones, and I feel like it went with the theme pretty well. Now, mind you, I don't watch Star Wars, so I'm the wrong person to ask about these questions. My dad watches Star Wars. My son doesn't watch Star Wars, and he kind of likes, you know, science, what is it, sci-fi type stuff. But I like the color story of this palette. The formula of this was really amazing. I like the fact they started putting marbly shades in the palette, so I thought that was really cool too. It seemed just like it was a mixture of the Mothership 1 and then the Mothership 5. That was another reason I wanted, because I'm like, I want to compare it to both of those. So let me know if you're interested in that, and we can do a battle of with the Star Wars palette against Pat McGrath, especially since Pat McGrath did the Star Wars collection, funny enough. The last palette I have in the affordable category that isn't a honorable mention is the Nikkie Tutorials and Beauty Bay palette. Now, I know a lot of people didn't like this palette. I really like the cool grungy side. I wasn't crazy about this more pastel side, so I'm more into the makeup shamer side, as sad as that is. Like, I'm sorry, I guess I have to be a makeup shamer, because I like the cool tones and like the blue and green better than, you know, this light pastel-y looking side. Not that it's bad, it's just, it's what I prefer over here, so I guess I'm a makeup shamer. I'm sorry, but I'm really looking at the back of it right here. This is makeup shamer, so I guess I'm a makeup shamer, because that's the side I like. Okay, let's move on to my next set of palettes, which is going to be luxury and high-end. So of course we know I had to mention the Pat McGrath and Bridgerton collection. So I have part 1 and part 2. I only play with these for the video, and I think I use them like one at a time after that. I've used the blue one more than I've used this one. So the blue one is Diamond of the First Water, and this one is Belle of the Ball. I feel like they just look really similar in tone. It's like if I'm going to use one, I'd just rather use the blue shimmer than the green shimmer. That's what it comes down to, because those are the only things that excite me in these palettes. Like, I don't care about this gold shade right here. This shifting shade looks cool, but I have never even touched it. I was more concerned about the green in here. And then there's only one matte in each one of them, so I'm not necessarily crazy about that. And I was more concerned about this tone right here. So if I had to pick between these two, I would use the Diamond of the First Water, and then I wouldn't use the Belle of the Ball right away, just because, I don't know, since they're so similar in tone and I prefer blue anyway, I would just stick to the blue one. So I had to include them though, because, you know, I think she did a great job with the packaging, and the color stories are nice. It's just, they're just more of the same when it comes to her, and since I have just about every Pat McGrath thing that exists, I'm just not, you know, excited about it. Next, y'all know this collab is going to be in here, Desi and Katie's Friendcation. I absolutely love this palette. This palette is stunning. I kind of feel like this could be a main chick side chick with the Star Wars one too, so now I need to put that to the side and see if they're going to be main chick side chick. So let me know if you want to see about this too, because I mean, if you already own this palette, do you really need to buy the Star Wars one too? I don't care if ColourPop is having 30% off, so that doesn't mean you need to buy it. And I don't even think that palette's on sale in stock anymore anyway, or at Ulta. But let me know if you're curious, and I can do a side by side with this one against that one. I meant to do it when I put it up on Instagram, but I don't think I did. My bad. So we're gonna main chick side chick those to the side. See, I be coming up with ideas when I be making videos. This isn't the first time I've done that. Next, I have the Course Jackie Aina and ABH palette. To me, this is OG classic palette that you should have in your collection if you're a brown girl. I feel like it should be a requirement that you own this palette, because Jackie did an excellent job. You got your neutral shades for people who love neutral. You got your pink and purple and girly moments around here. And I just absolutely love the color story of this. And like Morgan Turner said, this does pair really well with the Pat McGrath Mega Mothership. I think it's Celestial Divinity is the name of the first one. Don't quote me. But I feel like that palette goes great with that one. And the formula is exceptional. Like, those have the best shimmers and the best mattes that ABH has ever made. So whatever formula Jackie put in there, they need to put it in their other palette. Or maybe they just need to come out with a round 2 with Jackie. Because I don't feel like it's been hitting. After they did that collab with her, and then they collab with Carly Bible, and then they ran away. The only thing that was hitting was like the purple palette. I haven't tried any of the other ones, so I'm not sure, but yeah. Next, y'all knew we had to talk about it. the Beetlejuice and Mented Cosmetics collab. I will say about these though, like since they have a lot of the same color stories, it was like a lot of colors repeated. Like to me, this is a lot of stuff repeated. All that is $4.20, and these are just brighter versions of the She's in Parties palette. So, and I've shown several palettes that these compared to that they had in their collection already as far as colors go. Like some of those colors you can find in other palettes. I'm gonna show you the waiting room. I feel like the waiting room isn't as easy to dupe when it comes to them, and if it is, it would just be like the berry tones at the top. I don't feel like they have a lot of palettes that have these tones at the bottom, which I guess is good since they were trying to come up with a holiday collection and wanted to be new and different. But I still feel like this just falls into the color story of a family that they would use. And when you think about it now, I think about the Mary Jane palette has all those shades at the bottom, and then the red shades at the top can be found in the what did I say, the Gemini 2 palette. So it's like, again, they still have all types of tones that look similar. And then I feel like if you look at the Amore Posters palette and compare it to that one that they came out with at Sephora that they discontinued, then those would be really similar as well. So they do a lot of duping of themselves. So next I'm going to get into Sydney Grace, and of course we cannot have this video without the late great Mel Thompson's eyeshadow palette, the Tiny Marvels palette. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I absolutely love the color story of this. I think it looks really nice and unique. I feel like the ABH brand palette that just came out, the Nouveau one, looks really similar to this, which is why I gave y'all a video on it. I'm actually supposed to be giving another video on this because someone asked for it. So I'm thinking about doing it in a short that's supposed to be like, I think, less than a minute or something like that, but we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to put that one to the side. But I try not to use mine that often because I don't ever want to run out. That's one I want to keep in my collection forever. Like, I don't care what happens, I always want to have that palette in my collection. Next, I have the Tim Talia and Sydney Grace palettes. Now, I don't have all three of them up here with me. I got one put to the side to compare to another palette when it arrives to me. And then I got to put in a main, I think 5 alternative limited edition palettes or a main chick, side chick. I forgot which one it's supposed to go in, but this is on the horizon. I know this is my girl Dr. Asher, her makeup's favorite one. This is actually my least favorite one. I don't know what it is about this color story. It's just not giving for me. I feel like this could also be like partly a dupe for that new ABH palette that just came out. These like green tones and like some of these like cooler tones, if you will, but it doesn't have the lavender, so that's why I didn't show this one to you all as a comparison. Plus I don't own that palette, so I can't show you something and compare it if I don't have it. This is what it looks like. And then I have Radiant Reflections, which is one of my favorites, and when you see it you'll understand why it's one of my favorites. She said she made these as companion palettes though, so you don't just have to use them on their own, but she did put mattes just in case you wanted to use them on their own. That's what I was told. This is what it looks like on the inside, and now you see why I love it. It's full of all the color. So this has like a nice little mauve section, and then you got your blue, green, and purple section, which is for someone like me. So the fact that she put both of those together, I'm absolutely in love with, and so happy to have them in my collection. The funny thing is, I didn't know who Tim Talia was. I used to hear like YouTubers talking about her. Like I'd hear Tina the Fancy Face talking about her, and some other YouTubers. I believe it was Steph Nicole, who used to make videos, so she like stopped because she started running her own business. But yeah, I heard them talking about her. I was like, who is this woman and why does everybody keep talking about her? Now, the one that I look like a whole clown for mine is the Glam Light X Frosted Flakes palette. But the formula on this is absolutely amazing. Like, I don't know what they put in the shimmers in here that they don't put in any of the other shimmers in their palettes, but I need all the shimmers that you make and all the matches you make to be like this palette. Not like some of the other stuff from the past. I need it to be like this palette in particular. This palette blew me out the water, and I was shocked about it because like I really didn't want to buy it because y'all know I don't like this part right here. Like, that part can go away and never come back and I'd be totally fine. I'd be all about the blues. But I'm so glad I did try it because it performed absolutely amazing. It blew the ColourPop one out of the water, and I am so happy I have it in my collection now because I feel like a whole clown for not buying it sooner. But at the same time, again, if I don't like oranges and I had a palette that I could do a similar look with, you know, I keep saying it, girl, gas is almost $6 a gallon, okay? I got the budget. So when the palette went on sale, I gladly bought it then, but I just, at the time, couldn't budget it in with all the other stuff that was going on. Next, I have the Glam Light Hershey Kisses palettes. So I have special, what is it, Special Dark, Lava Cake, and Cookies and Cream. So This is Lava Cake. Nice little pinky tone palette. Special Dark is of course the purple one. I love the rich deep purple in here and this unique purple shade right here. These are two things I love about it the most, because I feel like you don't get a lot of unique purple shades. And the fact that she put these unique purple shades in this palette made it so special and cool to me. And then the Cookies and Cream palette. Y'all know I live for a blue moment, and just like a clown I bought another blue palette because, you know, like, because I need all the blue palettes. Even though we both know I don't need all the blue palettes, but in my mind I need all the blue palettes. So I made sure I bought this blue palette too, and I'm so glad I did, because the special shimmers in there make it really nice. And then the unique like blue shades, because I feel like these are unique blue shades I don't have in my ColourPop palettes. Like this shade right here, I feel like it's not in my ColourPop palette. Or this shade right here, I feel like it's not in my ColourPop palette. So, and y'all know I got like I think 3 or 4 blue ColourPop palettes. So next I had to do the Disney and Alamar Cosmetics Encanto palette. I know a lot of people wish that they got it. I was gonna be like person myself, feeling stupid for not kicking myself and not getting it, because I showed this to my friend Jackie, and she said she bought it from Christmas at first, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't need it, it's just another palette. And then I was like, well, since it's a collab palette, I feel like they'll have to hit harder than they normally do with their other formula. So then I had looked at it for a little while, I was like, yeah, just go ahead and get it. So then she got it for me, and then it sold out, and then it didn't come back, and then I was glad that I had it. But the Danessa Myris palette that I really wanted to get that went out of stock is coming back in a smaller version, so I'm happy about that, because I'm gonna get that. This we're gonna compare to the Druid palette from Fenty Cosmetics. I finally went ahead and bought it, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it in the box to remind me to compare it to other palettes. I have a whole stack of palettes I need to compare it to, so I will add that to the list. Next, I have the Dragon Fruit palette from Mented Cosmetics and Emily Violet Marie. Now, I had no idea who Emily Violet Marie was. I had heard that they were supposed to be collabing with her because she used to make palettes and use their shimmery shades to make this palette with the mattes or something like that. So that's when I had been wanting to try this brand for a while, and I was like, I'm always down for a palette, so I went up buying the palette, and I'm so glad I did. The formula on this is amazing. The color story of this is amazing. She did an excellent job, and all the shades work beautifully together. So I'm so happy this is in my collection. It makes me want to buy more shadows from the brand. The only thing is they sell a lot of singles, and I want to get the stained glass collection, but stuff is always sold out. And then I hear the wait time is really long and all that stuff, so I'm just like, oh, it's a whole nother thing. I just can't. Next, y'all should have known Oden's Eye was gonna be here, so we start off with these two. Of course, Miss Tina the Fancy Face was gonna be here. She's in the background. I love everything about it. And then we got the Giant Wolf's palette from Annette. So we're gonna start with Tina's palette, because this is my favorite one out of all the collabs I've gotten from Oden's Eye, from all YouTubers. I think it's because it's so near and dear to my heart, because I love Tina the Fancy Face, and she is one of the first YouTubers I found here on YouTube as of Jamaican descent, like myself, or like my grandfather was. So I just truly love everything about this. It brings out all the colorful brightness of everything, and I think Tina did a beautiful job. So I am so happy that this is in my collection. And I had 3. I calmed down and put one in the giveaway, so I didn't have 3, because I had bought one for the giveaway and I had 2 for myself. So I was just like, yes. And I'm not ashamed, because I'm going to use one up completely, and then I'll just have one to memorialize when Tina had a palette. Now let's get into Annette's palette. So this is Giant Wolves. I have 2 of Annette's palette as well. It's because I really like Annette's makeup point, and I thought this was a gorgeous color story too. So this is what hers looks like on the inside. She has like a little green moment, then it's like these pinkish purples. The funny thing is, I could have did my eye look with this palette today, because I have like all these type of shades on my eyes right now. Like this is the shade that's in my crease, and then this is the shade that's on my the black is on my outer V, and then this deepish type purple shade is toward the front of my lid, and then this shade is in my crease, and then like well, not that shade, but there's like a brown shade I use on my front, and then I could use this shade as my inner corner. I could have made this exact same look with this, but this is the FU palette from BH Cosmetics, if anyone cared. But yeah, I really do love this palette and the grunginess of it, and I can't wait for fall to come to break it out and use it, girl, because I'm gonna be extra thirsty, and I sure am gonna use it. I feel like there's a palette I'm missing. I think I had already brought it here with me. I'm gonna have to go over in the corner and grab it real quick, but we'll get through these first. So this is the Hella palette from Angie, of course, or Angelica Niquez. So what it looks like on the inside. It gives those AKA vibes, and then you get this cool grungy smoky section at the end. I really like this palette. I think it's a nice unique color story. If you all remember, I showed you alternatives to this palette after it had sold out for the first time, so you could get some ideas of what you wanted to compare it to. I think I showed the Encanto palette as alternative to it as well, if I remember correctly. But you have to go watch the main chick side chick playlist or my side chick makeup playlist if you want to know about that. But I really love the form of Oden's Eye shadows, and I'm super happy, and I can't wait for the next palette they come out with. Of course, we had to put both Angie's palettes in here because both Angie's palettes are fire. I love this palette so much more though. I love the Club Nebula palette more than I love the Hella palette. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, the color story of this is more true to the type of person I am. Like, you see she got the blues and greens, and then it's like a row of purples, and then she has this warm tone roll because she says she likes to do a lot of corally red tone looks. I've done a few corally red tone looks with this palette, but I usually reach for this 2 rows here because that's just more my color aesthetic and color story, and I absolutely love this palette. This palette is like easily one of my top 10 most used YouTuber collab palettes because it's just stunning. Next, I have a palette that people were comparing to the palette I just showed you. This is the Hauntingly Glamorous palette from Unearthly Cosmetics and Sydney Nicole Adams. This is what it looks like on the inside, and you see it does have some similarities to Angie's palette. It's not the same because you don't have the corally shade, but you do have like this transforming shade right here that goes with these, and then you do have like the blues and the greens and the purples just like Angie's palette does. So this one keeps coming in and out of stock on Unearthly Cosmetics website, so you might want to be looking for that one since you can't get Angie's palette anymore for sure, but you can still possibly get your hands on this one because I like this one as well. I like Angie's more, but there's nothing wrong with the quality of this one, and I feel like you can get similar looks that I've done with Angie's palette with this palette. So I would definitely say if you like the color story of Angie's palette and you missed it, go ahead and grab this one because you will not be disappointed. Oh y'all, we almost at the end. Yes, because I'm just dreading editing this. So I have 3 palettes from Be Perfect Cosmetics. Of course, I have the newest one that just came out, the Makeup by Elena Rain palette. The only downside to this one, of course, is the press glitters. I absolutely hate press glitters, so I was not feeling the fact that, you know, she put press glitters in here, and then the fact that there are like 4 when I could have had shimmers instead. I was not feeling it at all. I was very upset about that. I mean, I know she's into glitters and all that type of stuff, so I wasn't surprised they went in here. I was just disappointed because it's like, you know, just because you like glitters doesn't mean everyone likes glitters, and it's like you're trying to get us to buy this palette, so maybe you should consider us in mind and not be putting glitters in it because I don't want it. Next, I have the Be Perfect Carnival 3 palette, Love Tahiti palette. I heard she's supposed to be coming out with a volume 5, so I have volumes 3 and 4 here to show you. So this one I absolutely love. Y'all know why. It has my blues, it has my greens, it has my purple. I don't feel like it has enough greens or blues in here, but it has plenty of purples and pinks. The sad part is the purples in here didn't perform that well to me in my personal opinion, and there's a lot of like warm tone corally section in the middle, which I'm not too crazy about. But again, the formula on these is amazing. The shimmers are really nice, the mattes are really nice and buildable, and they build on top of each other, which is something that I love to see in a palette because I'm finna, you know, be trying to build 5 or 6 shades in the crease according to Dionluvsmakeup, because she told me that she was like, you be having all these shades and the crease and stuff, and I'm like, girl, I just try to use as much as I can, you know, like we paid for it. Before it expires, I need to be using it all. So I really like that one. This is the Antidote. What is this for? This is what it looks like on the inside. I understand why she did this one because it's like she didn't have like a truly neutral palette, and then you got your warm tones and you got like your more cool tones and neutrals for someone like me. So of course we know my eyes are focused toward the side of the palette that's green. I don't really care about the orangey red side. I mean, I have used it and then combined both the sides to get a nice look, or just use this side on its own just to give you all ideas of looks on my Instagram and in the video that I did of this palette when it went on sale. But like, this isn't a top pick for me, but it's like I know the formula in this is amazing, and I know if I needed to go to neutral palette, I would be able to use this from my collab collection and it would work just fine. Now if I was just going to use a colorful palette in general, I would most likely use my Blend Bunny one, and she just sneak peeked the new palette was coming, so I'm like, yes, yes, give it to me, man. Where is this palette? I know I brought it with me, y'all, so I know how to struggle bus from trying the palette. Ah, here it is. So the It's Freaking Bats palette from Batty Bean and Shroud. This is what it looks like on the inside. Absolutely stunning, lovely, wonderful. I love the color story of this. This is another one of my most used eyeshadow palettes easily. I can tell y'all I use this palette quite a bit. Y'all know I love these sort of shades right here. I love these periwinkle type shades. I feel like they go perfect with the purple she put in here and the green. So this is just a stunning palette that's easy for me to use and was worth the wait, because I heard lots of YouTubers making complaints. It wasn't just me, so there you go. Now let's get into my my honorable mentions, because it's like they're collab palettes and they are my collection, so I do want to acknowledge them, but at the same time it's like it's reasons that they didn't get to make it into like the main rotation that you saw, and we about to talk about why. Okay, so the Glam Light Icy collection, I don't know, like I think I just like my ColourPop and my BH Cosmetics monochromatic palettes better, because I wasn't impressed with the form of these or the color story of these. If I was impressed by the color story, it was the red one more than the blue one, believe it or not. But I just wasn't obsessed with either one of these, so that's why it's an honorable mention as opposed to like being just true part of my collection of palettes I want to show you. This one honestly is just aesthetically pleasing. This is the Hip Dot and Clueless palette, but y'all know I am a I loved Clueless as a kid. If you did not know, I was obsessed with the movie Clueless. I was obsessed with the show Clueless. I was so sad when it went off. This is what the palette looks like on the inside. Now you see why I'm not excited about it, but like I keep it in my collection because I was obsessed with Clueless and I still love the theme and thought of Clueless. So I was like, when I finally get a beauty room, this will definitely be displayed in it. Now I don't know if I'm gonna take it out of the box or not, just because, you know, I don't want it to get dirty, but love it. Next, the Candy Castle palette. Y'all know the color story. This was atrocious. It was ashy. Didn't work on anybody in my skin tone. I think I have the video of this still up. I might have taken it down because it was just that bad, girl. I don't remember. But I recreated my color story, which is kind of another reason I feel like I didn't need to show it, because it's like there's barely any shades in here that were originally in here. I think I kept like 2 in here. I'm pretty sure I kept this shade and like this mint shade in here, and I think the rest of these shades came from other palettes, just to I just wanted to save this packaging honestly just because it was really cute. So to me, this is nothing more than a magnetic palette that I can change out and put other things in, but those are the shades I chose to keep in here for now, because at least they match the theme of the outside of the packaging, because the inside of the packaging was not giving what it needed. Next, I have the Witching Hour, basically the what is it, the Hocus Pocus part 2 collection. I just wasn't that impressed with this color story. I mean, it's a plain boring color story. I took one of the shades out and replaced it. Like, I'm pretty sure I took this shade out and replaced it with another one from a 5-pan palette, and I'm still not super impressed with this. I just keep it to like be able to reference that collab, because I have the original, so I figured I should have part 2 as well. But this wasn't one I was obsessed with, impressed with by any means. Next, I hate to do this, but this is the Vanessa and Juvia's Place collab. Now, the only reason this is in here is because y'all know this is my color aesthetic. Like, it's majority neutral and warm tone. We know I'm a cool tone person, so although I have it and I bought it to support her, and I love the dual chromey shades in here, this isn't the palette that I'm like, oh crap, you know, but I need that. So I bought it at a great deal. I wanted to support Vanessa, and I did get a nice eye look out of it when I did use the one time, but it's just not like something I'm gonna reach for as a general rule. Next, we have the Sir John and Luminous collection. Now, this is not any shade to Sir John, but we know like majority of shades in here are brown, so it's like I don't have any deeper colorful mattes to put with these gorgeous jewel tones in the palette. So that's my main problem with this palette. That's literally my only problem with this palette. I need, you know, I need me some colorful mattes to go with it. So it's like if I have to pair your palette with another palette, then, you know, it's not doing it for me. But the color story is doing it for me just fine. Mine is like the whole bunch of different brown mattes, but I know he had like a theme going and he's trying to follow that, and that's fine, but that's why it's an honorable mention to me and not something that I'm like, oh my god, yes. Next, I have the Elf and Chipotle. This one was extremely hard to get. You looked up and it was gone. I ended up buying mine from somebody off Poshmark, who I guess got in the PR. They like bought it and then they decided they weren't going to use it. I'm not sure, but this is what it looks like on the inside. I like the color story, okay. It's just, it's not anything exceptional. You got like the blue brown changing shimmer pigment from the old school back in the day. I like the little green section right here with the guacamole and like the other stuff, but otherwise it's just a bunch of boring browns with like a couple little pops of grungy-ish type colors, and that's not impressive to me. The formula on this is really good though, and that's why I've been hoarding it. Last but certainly not least, and I feel like you should have known this was gonna be an honorable mention, this is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. So we all know why this is an honorable mention, because I mean, it's a boring ass neutral palette like all the other palettes. She just threw in 4 pops of color on the end. The formula on this is really amazing for a Morphe palette, in my personal opinion. I don't really mess with Morphe like that, so I mean, I could just be saying that just because I'm not a Morphe fan. But I do own a few Morphe things. They usually have to do with Jaclyn though. I don't ever usually just buy Morphe things. I think the only Morphe thing I bought was the foundation and concealer to try for you all, and then I bought the bronzer to try for you all a long time ago, and it was actually really nice. So those are all the Morphe things. I mean, those are all the things I had to talk about as far as collab palettes with IPs and just brands in general. God, I feel like I'm sitting here talking forever. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, y'all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Let me know if you agree with the way I talked about these things, or if you have different opinions on them, because I'm curious. Because you guys think this is 5 years worth of collabs and stuff I pulled out here. But like I said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.